London Reyes, who's a community activist from the city of Yonkers, New York, who happens to be running for a county legislative seat in the 17th district, I believe. Hello, London. Welcome to the show.
How are you? Thank you for inviting me to the show. I appreciate it.
Yes. How long have you lived in Yonkers?
I've been living in Yonkers for about 26 years now.
Yes. What brought you to Yonkers, I guess I should ask?
Well,
maybe.
I was born and raised in the Bronx, and when I got married and started my family, I wanted to move to an area and a place that I thought that we would be happy and can prosper from. And we moved up to Yonkers and moved into a community called Nodine Hill. At that time, Nodine Hill was a nice area. I couldn't say it was the best neighborhood, but it wasn't the worst. And we raised our family there. I have two boys, London and Michael, and they were born and raised in Nodine Hill. They're much older now, college graduates, both of them. And, you know, I've been very happy with living in Yonkers. I mean, we've had our ups and downs in terms of community issues, but it's still my home.
Yes. I understand you, in the city, you may have been an entertainer, I believe, before.
Yeah.
Well, I think some people said retired, some people said kind of went into a different career of nonprofits. But
Yeah.
what was your history in the Bronx before coming to Yonkers?
Well, you know, growing up in the South Bronx in the 70s, you know, the Bronx was burning, as they say.
Yes.
And so we were young children back then that didn't really have many services, abandoned buildings, burnt buildings. And those were our playgrounds. That was our learning grounds, if you will. And a bunch of us kids were misfits. You know, we weren't accepted by society for many different reasons.
In what way? I don't follow.
You know, some of us because of our ethnicity, some of us because of our income levels, some of us because we had special needs. And we found ourselves in an area in the Bronx, the South Bronx, where nobody really cared about us. Nobody really paid attention to us. Nobody really wanted to help us. And it's almost similar to Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeers and the island of misfit toys that nobody wanted. That was us kids.
So you thought entertainment was a way to get out of the Bronx, or just something you did for free time, or like some kids might say, you know what, I'm going into sports to get a college, an opportunity to go to college, to go into a field, be the first person in my family to be a college educator.
I wish I could say that.
Yes.
I wish I could have, you know, been that smart. No, it was a way for us to celebrate ourselves, make us feel kind of special, make us feel like a somebody opposed to a nobody. So we would perform, we would dance, we would sing, we would do poetry, and unbeknownst to us, you know, we started this thing called hip hop. Some of us became breakers, some of us became rappers, some of us became DJs. Myself, I enjoyed dancing, you know. In the beginning, I wasn't very good, but, you know, I was very determined, and I practiced every day. And I wound up joining a group called the New York City Breakers, and that kind of changed my life. This is the early 80s now. And I guess the New York City Breakers, my group, probably are known for maybe a couple of things. One, being the first hip-hop group or organization or entity to go to the White House and perform for, back then, President Ronald Reagan in the early 80s. I guess the other thing that we're probably known for is performing in a movie called Beat Street, which is kind of like the Bible for hip-hop people. And it gave me an opportunity to travel the world. I've been on tour with people like Run DMC and LL Cool J and Curtis Blow, and it gave me a different life lesson, going overseas and enjoying the food and the language and the culture. It was something that I'd never experienced in the Bronx.
And I believe you had a cable program?
Yeah.
I was reading your bio earlier, so.
Yeah. You're doing your homework, all right.
So.
Yeah, well, so after the whole breaking and the whole hip-hop thing, it started to die down a little bit in terms of just the breakers. And I was very fortunate because of my history. I love history. I was able to find myself on a daily talk show through Cablevision, and we pioneered something called Freestyle Fridays, which was like a rap battle. And the way that we grew up and the way that we received respect was to compete. Some people did it by joking with one another. Some people did it by dancing against one another, rapping against one another. So I decided when I was given the opportunity to be a talk show host to bring that element to TV It helped us come together, and it helped us, it gave us a way to express ourselves. I thought that that was going to be pretty interesting because hip-hop, even today, is really viewed as rap music, and that's just a small part of hip-hop. It's not even relevant in my world, you know. I think expression is the #1 thing. So I brought that on TV, and we became very, very successful. It allowed me to purchase a home. It allowed me to pay my bills. It allowed me to live fairly comfortably now, which most people in the entertainment industry, especially in the hip-hop world, they cannot do. So I'm fortunate in that sense.
So you say you moved to this neighborhood, Nodine Hill. I have to say I've heard of Nodine Hill. I've been in Westchester County for since 1990, and sadly, it kind of leads on News 12 with you know, if it bleeds, it leads kind of thing. I'm trying to say it in a nice way, but you said at one time it was a fairly nice neighborhood, or?
Well, when we first moved there, I mean, it was never the greatest neighborhood, but you know, as I speak to you now, Nodine Hill, for those that don't know, is by far the worst community in all of Westchester County. Yeah. It's not even close. The crime that happens in that community, the lack of opportunity in that community, the lack of services in that community, nobody wants to live in Nodine Hill. People are trying to escape Nodine Hill as though they were in Alcatraz. And that makes me feel sad knowing that a place that my kids were born and raised from can go from a decent neighborhood 26 years ago to just the worst neighborhood in the entire county. We're talking from Mount Vernon all the way up to Peekskill. Any city, Nodine Hill is #1 on that list.
You know, it's you see all the Generation Yonkers commercials. You see the press releases like in Low HUD and stuff of you know, where there's a lot of tax breaks and pilots to get developers to come to, you know, kind of a little bit of North Yonkers and a little bit the downtown area, especially along the riverfront, to build, you know, very nice buildings and stuff. But you don't see in Yonkers, like say in Stamford or in White Plains, where downtown there's a nightlife where people are on the streets, they're walking, you have sidewalk cafes, you have bars and entertainment events, similar to what might be White Plains downtown here or Stamford, those type of things. Do you feel that maybe neglecting some areas of Yonkers has not made it possible to create that kind of nightlife in downtown Yonkers?
I think that's pretty clear. I think anybody that lives in Yonkers knows this. What's unfortunate is that the politicians that are in office today as we speak are telling the everyday person they're not being honest with them. You know, they put these advertisements on TV and they're saying how great Yonkers is, and Yonkers is great. There are elements of Yonkers that's beautiful. So I can't say that the whole city itself is not great, but Yonkers is a place that certain parts, like Nodine Hill, and there are other parts of Yonkers that have been neglected. Our streets, our roads, our bridges, our housing, it's just ignored. And it's ignored because we're not able to bring in enough revenue. When you allow big companies and multi-million, sometimes billion-dollar corporations to eat up our land tax-free but not contribute to paying for services, I think it's wrong, and that's the reason why I'm running for office. I want to change that. I think that in order for society to fully mature and develop and grow where everybody gets a slice of the pie, you have to invest and to cut services like my opponent did from our youth, from our educational platform, from health services, mental services, to do all of these slashes just so that you can give these multi-billionaires extra money, I think is wrong. And when I'm elected, we're going to change that. Well, it's unacceptable.
Elected, please don't take this the wrong way, but you know, you are an unmoneyed candidate. You have never ran for office, and now you are looking to represent. I guess it's District 17 of Yonkers. You have 15,000 people, and you did have a campaign kickoff, which impressed a lot of people. I've been to some campaign kickoffs. I was with one had like 20 people. You know what I'm saying? Right. So, and I was at yours also. I was awful impressed with the. I was surprised at the length of it. It went on for hours. but the I think there's a video from it. Do you mind if I show it here, please?
Yes, please, absolutely.
And we're going to go to a video from was it about a month ago?
About 6 weeks ago.
About 6 weeks ago of a campaign kickoff for London Reyes, who's running for County District 17.
District 17 will not only be a voice, but he will continue to organize the youth, organize the family, and make sure that the nonsense stops. So now it's my honor to introduce the king of No Dine Hill neighborhood, London Reyes.
I saw my bald head in there.
Well, first, I want to thank you for coming. Yes. You know, I appreciate that you took time out of your schedule.